out there. And we're so glad and hope you're out there joining us. You are here at IntellectualRadio.com with Here's Life with Zemrah, sharing great thoughts, ideas, and always have something that you can take along with you. And of course, my better half,
here,
Mr. Eddie Sherman. And we have, as we promised last week, really the last couple of weeks, a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful sister that is an assistant to me, game, and I just love and appreciate her for that. But more than that, she is a dynamic travel agent called Wilda's Fun Travel. So we have joining us this evening with us her travel experience to Europe. And it was truly an experience. She shared some of it, like I was telling you last week. So she's here this week to share that real extensive trip. And so we're going to jump right on it and say, good evening, Wilda.
Good evening. So glad to be here.
We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, because she's a stickler on travel. And we were talking about the beauty of traveling. Like we said last week, the value of traveling. And sometimes you do have to make that a priority. And a lot of times, like her and I were talking about, that we just don't do that. So we're going to jump right in and just ask you quickly about what before we go into the trip and all, but your idea and the importance of traveling. I think you expressed that before, but you can never express it too much because that's one of the things that you always talk about, that people do need to make that an important part of their life, really.
Right. And what we're talking about is really vacation.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you travel or take a vacation, it just helps your overall well-being. There's no doubt. Scientifically, it's just known that it does that. But what happens many times is not given a priority because it's looked at as being something luxury. Not necessity.
Yes.
So to live a more fuller, richer life, and I feel a healthier life, vacations are needed. You just need to get away from everything. Doesn't matter the distance. You don't have to go to Europe like I did, but you need to get away from your everyday in and out routine. And even if you take the time off work, a lot of times if you stay in the same environment, you find yourself going back to work, not rested, no different perspective.
So in other words, you didn't get far enough away.
Right. You didn't really do anything different.
That's the truth.
Right.
What you did different was you didn't go to work. Right.
That's
you didn't
all.
show up for your 9 to 5.
That's about it. Yeah.
Right. But when you travel or take a vacation, you're in a whole different environment. You're meeting different people, new people. You're having different experiences. And that naturally expands the human spirit. It has to.
It does.
There's no way around it. So that's what I love to see happen. I love to see people take great vacations and come back with these wonderful stories to share.
Yeah.
And then they go back into their routine day-to-day activities like a new person.
Bringing something with it.
Bringing something new with them.
So
and
do
it's
you
the experience of that vacation.
So do you think that, what do you think is the reason a lot of times why people don't make that a priority?
Probably the number one reason I hear is cost. I have, everyone is fighting for our dollars. You have your bills to pay, you have family, you have emergencies come up, life shows up. I think nobody can say, well, I don't want to take a vacation. I think everybody wants to. But how bad do you want? Do you want to do it bad enough to plan for it and let nothing get in between you and your vacation? Even if you have to postpone it or reschedule it.
Start planning it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And anything can be accomplished one step at a time. So you may not start off doing some grandiose vacation, but you can start off taking 3 days, 2 days, 4 days just to get away.
Now, to you, what would be a simple vacation that wouldn't be very, very costly that you could do, say, a 3 or 4 day? Like, what would you suggest?
Sure, it depends on what your likes or dislikes are. If you're a beach person, you can take a beach trip for 3 4 days, stay in a hotel, right? Hang out on it, wake up every morning and look at the ocean.
Yeah.
Man, that's what I'm talking about.
You had a good time,
yes,
I can tell.
Even for a few days, it makes a difference. But to wake up, if you like to ski, you can do that. Whatever it is you like to do.
Yeah.
If you like amusement parks, whatever, just do something. If it's family oriented, which I think we should travel more as a family, introduce your kids to traveling. Let them know what it's like to have a vacation other than just away from school, but away from your community and away from your house to a whole nother environment.
Right. It is very, very educational.
Oh, yeah.
So that would take the children, teach them that, to put that into their lifestyle, to plan a vacation, because it rejuvenates the spirit.
Right.
Even just for a few days.
Absolutely.
And if you plan it, the planning alone will kind of set you free.
Yes. And then your children will come to expect it. So every summer they'll be saying, "Mommy, Daddy, where we going?"
That's right. That's right. And
so,
they can be encouraging. They can be encouraging, really, to you setting up something.
Yes,
that is true.
Exactly.
And the longer you plan it, the better you feel during the year.
I know.
So if you start 6 months out and just put away a few dollars, and so that you can plan ahead, you don't have to plan that far ahead, but the planning alone makes those 6 months go by better, because you've got a reward coming at the end of the 6 months.
Well, that's what we that's what when we did the cruise, when we set up the cruise. I mean, we would just we looked so forward to that. We did, and we looked so just the planning, and then we like to shop for the trip and prepare. So you're right. You're absolutely right. It's really a lot of fun even preparing for it.
Right.
So speaking about
is the
that,
second thing.
Right.
The first is money, and second thing people say is time. Oh, I don't have time. Take a vacation. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
These kids need that.
Yeah.
Take the time.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
And the value is the value of it.
And the primary word is take it.
Yeah.
They're not going to give it to you. Take it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just put it aside.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
That's why it's got to be a priority. You got to want to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, things will easily show up.
They always do.
They always show up. You just have to put them aside.
So you've got to make sure that you're committed. I'm going to take a 2-week vacation or a 1-week vacation, whatever it is, every year.
That's right. Just plan for it. That's why, just like you put a little aside for other things, make sure you put a little aside. Yeah, and I think what we need to do is we need to get our producer out. He needs definitely a vacation.
Oh, absolutely.
He said that when you were here before, but we're gonna make sure that Earl makes it happen. Because he's tired. I know he needs a break.
He needs one bad.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs are one of the bugs. Yes, when you work for yourself, you work.
Yeah.
You work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't stop and take the time to tend to ourselves.
Yeah. And the value of it is just like you said, it's just so rejuvenating.
And what is the business going to do when I'm not there? How am I going to shut down? It'll survive.
Yeah.
So shut it down.
That's right.
Go off the air for a minute.
Well, no, you don't have to do that. You wouldn't shut down or do anything like that.
Just plan accordingly.
You just have to plan where you can,
If necessary,
No.
Like our favorite ice cream shop. Best ice cream on the South Side. Every year they're there all summer.
And then they close for the winter, but that's different.
And they plan it.
Yeah, but that's different because you're not necessarily.
So they make their money last.
Not getting them cones and stuff in the winter.
But it would be silly for them to shut down in the summer.
Exactly.
Right.
So that wouldn't make much sense.
Right.
So what they're doing is they're taking their vacation according to their business.
Exactly.
Right. And that's what we all have to do.
Vacation. That's right.
If whatever business you're in, if you're slow, take a vacation during your slow period. Absolutely.
That's right. So speaking of vacations, let's get into the vacation you just returned from.
Yes. So last time I was here, we talked about the Europe trip. I was planning it, getting ready to embark upon that. Last year we went to. Okay, so last year, we had gone to Brazil, And then we planned. So we've been doing like a major trip for the last 3 years. So this year it was Europe. And we planned that trip probably for about a good year. I would say a good 10 to 12 months out. It originally started as a 7-day Mediterranean cruise. And the cruise leaves from Barcelona. So we were planning to go into Barcelona a couple days early before the cruise, just kind of hang out, have a good time in Barcelona, and then board the ship and cruise for 7 days. Now, the cruise went to France, Spain, and Italy.
Woo!
So after we had started planning that, I have a travel partner that I work with. Her name is Amazon Smiley, and I would like to send a big shout out to her because she really helped make this trip possible.
Hey, Amazon.
Amazon.
Yes.
Well, she's a very, very sweet lady.
Yeah. So she had the bright idea that since we're going to Europe, we should experience Europe. We should experience more of Europe than just Barcelona and Italy. So what we decided to do was fly into London and spend a couple nights there. Then we will move on to Paris, have that Paris experience, and then go to Barcelona. So we kind of the trip kind of grew, in a sense. So but it was in a good sense. So everybody who had already committed to the cruise said, "Oh yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah, let's do the whole thing.
Let's do the whole thing," which I was really kind of surprised because it's not the cruise isn't cheap. It wasn't cheap by no means, but people wanted that experience. So it ended up being 12 of us together. 10 of us did the whole thing. 2 people did the cruise only. And that's exactly what we did. We flew into London, stayed for 2 days and 2 nights, and we took the train over to Paris, which was very interesting. Then we took another train from Paris to Barcelona.
Wow. Now tell us about the train ride itself.
The train ride,
And how long was it?
A Eurostar train, which is high speed. So you can get from 2 hours.
Really?
Smooth.
On the train.
Is that 200-mile-an-hour train?
Something like that. It has to be because it goes so fast. So that was the train to Paris.
Now, well, I'm gonna ask something. It might sound a little silly, but could you feel the speed of the train, or it wasn't?
No, not really.
It actually.
No.
I think they said it floats on the cushion of air.
Yeah.
Electronic wave underneath the train, so it kind of floats. There's very little friction on the rail.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. It was smooth.
It wasn't like Amtrak.
Right.
Their train systems are very, very modern,
High tech.
very high tech. Exactly.
Wow.
Very much. So we were there like in 2 hours. But of course, that was the most cost-effective way to go. But it was also very adventuresome because going from London to Paris, and then also keep in mind, London not an issue, but Paris we going into a different language. People speak French in Paris. They speak English in London.
Right.
So those were things that in planning the trip that we had to be aware of, take into account. Nobody on the trip, well, I shouldn't say that. A few of us had been to London and Paris, but no one had actually been through the whole parts of Europe that we were doing.
Did you learn any French?
Well, I took French in high school, actually.
Oh, go girl.
Oui.
Yeah.
But what we
I
found,
learned that too.
right? But what we found was that most people speak English. And what really people want is to know that you have an interest in them. That's no matter what culture you go to.
Oh, that's right.
No matter what human you're talking to, people want to know you have interest. So you kind of want to have a few words that you might can speak, let them know you're trying.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we didn't have any issues. Like I said, most of the people spoke English.
That's kind of like universal. Everybody wants to know if you have a natural interest in them personally.
Sure.
If you know a few words, that shows that you took time and interest to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So that worked out in terms of in Italy. We don't speak Italian, but people do they speak English. And even if you're in a situation, you can usually ask, is there anybody that speaks English? And they'll say, yeah. And then they'll go and get someone. But it was cool. But it was an adventure, because none of us had actually did that before in terms of getting on the train and going to the train station and then coming out of the train and then getting from the train station to the hotel.
Another country.
Right. And getting to the hotel in another country.
Yeah.
Where you don't speak the language. Right.
The interest was in the journey alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what vacations are. It's not just the destination, but it's everything. It's from the planning. It's from going. It's from participating. It's from return. All of that is part of the human experience when you take a vacation. You know, so it's not just arrive. That's why I tell people when I'm booking travel for them, don't stress. I mean, it doesn't have to be stressful.
It's not supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be stressful.
Not at all.
So, what has being a travel agent done for you over the years? And how long have you been doing this?
About 10 years. I started in about 2008.
Okay.
So I've been doing it for about 10 years, off and on. It's so funny. I passed by a sign downtown. In the window, it said, "Love what you do." That's all it said. Love what you do. And I think that makes such a difference. And we all do things that we don't love. We do it for the paycheck. We have bills to pay and things. But I feel when you are doing something that you love, that means you are inspired.
That's right.
And when you are inspired, you do over and beyond. And I feel like that's what I want to give my clients. I'm inspired. So I want to give them extra. They have choices anyway. We are in a competitive market. But really what I want my clients to walk away with a feel-good feeling for the value that they got for the money that they spent. So all the time, it's not about how much I spent, but what did I get? What did I get? What value?
And she books a wonderful trip.
Yes, I try to. Because I like one.
Yeah.
So I like wonderful trips. So what I try to do is just take people with me.
No,
right.
So let me just take a group with me.
If you want a trip really and truly put together, thorough, and you really gonna have a trip of a lifetime, Wilda's the lady to book with.
Thank you, Zemrah. Most of my clients are repeat.
That says a lot.
I was telling that to Zemrah coming over to the show. I really don't do a lot of marketing. Most of my business comes from word of mouth.
Word of mouth and referrals.
And repeat customers.
Well, I know you don't do a lot of marketing, but we're going to do a little marketing today.
Okay.
So
I'm not against it. I love marketing.
And what is that number we should call you at?
312-399-6256.
That's Wilda's Fun Travel. One more time.
312-399-6256.
And give us your website. Not your website, but your email.
Yeah, you can send me anything to Wilda's Fun Travel at sbcglobal.net.
Yeah. So if you want to enjoy yourself and have a person that pays really strictly attention to the details to make sure you have a good time, you need to call Wilda's Fun Travel because it is fun.
And you look over there at the phone.
Oh,
yeah.
What am I looking over here for?
But that's for real. If you really want a good trip put together, and Ed said the key word is detail, and she is detailed in everything that she does.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And getting back to that sign you saw that says "Love what you do," I think it was more instructive rather than inquisitive. It was saying, no matter what you're doing, find something to love about it. And it'll make the job a lot easier for you.
Now, that's the truth.
And so if you have to do it, find something to love about it. And so that you can enjoy the experience and the job is not a job anymore. Because people who love what they do don't work.
Right.
It just doesn't seem like work to them.
That's right.
So they just enjoy it and the negativity
and then
goes away.
It's fulfilling. You just excel to it automatically. So getting back to the trip.
Okay, so in London, now, also I was saying I like what we did, one of the things we discovered, 2 nights, 2 days is not enough. In London, Paris, or Barcelona, just is not enough. You need more time.
At least what?
Oh God, at least 4 or 5 days, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I plan to go back. I could go back to any of those 3 spots anytime. London, I found very fascinating. Europe itself has a lot of history, and they have things that date back, oh God, to like the 8th and 5th century.
I know that's what you were saying.
We don't have that. So it's trying to decide what to do in Europe. I mean, in London, any of the spots we were at, because knowing that you only got 2 days, you can't do everything. But some of the things we did, like in London, we did do the changing of the guards at Buckingham Palace.
I know you were saying that was fabulous.
Now, I like that. I thought it was great. British, they have all the pomp and pageantry, and they just known for that. And the whole ceremony of the changing of the guards, they're literally changing the protection of the palace from the queen from one guard to another guard. But that was really cool, something to see. Lots of people. It's one of their most popular attractions.
Really?
Lots of people. Lots of people were there. And then we did a little bit of the nightlife in London. My brother had actually recommended one of the jazz nightclubs that a lot of the African Americans go to, So we called there on a Monday. They were booked. So Monday night, right?
Monday night.
Guy said, okay, what about tomorrow? We're going to be here for 2 nights. What about tomorrow? He said, oh, sweetheart, we booked tomorrow too. I'm like, oh my God, y'all party over here. So we ended up at this nice little spot called the Night Jar. And they had live jazz, Zemrah. You would be perfect there. Yeah. Honestly.
I know, we're going to check it out.
Yes. They had a trio with a vocalist, a female vocalist.
Yeah. Zemrah, live in London.
That's right.
So
don't you like the sound of that?
Woo, oh that sounds good.
Yes. So even for that, we had to wait over an hour to get in. So I'm just saying that to kind of show you the activity on
Were
a
there
Monday
small,
night.
Intimate spots where they could get like how many?
The night, probably, maybe. I was going to say about the size. I was trying to compare it to something, but not as big as the promontory, but maybe a little smaller than that.
Oh, really?
In the seating area,
okay.
Where the tables and chairs are.
Yeah,
it was about that size.
Okay.
And they had a nice group, nice little drinks, alcohol, and then little snacks and stuff. It was nice. It was very nice. So that was kind of a taste of the nightlife in London. But it was fun. We had where we stayed was good. Everybody liked the hotel. We were centrally located. It had a casino. The casinos in Europe are nothing like the ones here, at least the ones that we experienced.
Okay.
Not all the glitz and glamour, that kind of thing.
Well, tell us about the part, Wilder, when you was telling me when you all were waiting on the cab.
Oh, right.
And as you came through there and you was looking, you saying.
Oh, right. So that was in Paris.
Right.
So we take the train from London to Paris, and then we come out of the train station, of course, to meet our ride. So we had, rides set up already previous, so we had arranged that. But when I come out of the train station, Paris didn't look like I expected it to look.
Come, tell me what you saw. What was it like?
It was like the hood.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
It glamorous thing I had imagined, this beauty. And I mean, it was just like an ordinary street with people hanging out, doing all kinds of stuff. Trash piled up on the street, honestly. In Europe, they have very narrow streets. So, you can barely get cars, can barely get down. So cars everywhere. We were standing waiting for our ride to come There was guys behind us. They were shooting crap. And we had, there were people begging on the street, just like here. It was like any other major city, I guess is the way to put it. Any other major urban city.
Little junkie spots.
Yes. Then we get in the car and we're headed to the hotel. So I'm already in shock a little bit from the train station. And the driver turns down this street. And it's like, so what we had like 2 cars. It was 10, we had 5 in each car. So we turned down the street. And so when we turned down the street, everybody in our car stopped talking. Like, oh,
where are we going?
Where are we going? Kind of like thing, right? So he pulls, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know why he's turning down this street. I know our hotel isn't here. Our hotel is not possibly on this street. But he turns down the street, stops in front of our hotel. It's on a little narrow street. It's got a lot of businesses, like little shops, restaurants, coffee shops and things. Sure enough, that was our hotel.
You took a shortcut.
That was our hotel. But the hotel itself was fabulous. The location didn't look so good on the outside. Plus, it was kind of late in the day when we got there. So, but once we got inside the hotel, everything was good. And then come to find out, the location, once we walked to the end of the street, then you could see everything opened up. You know what I mean? So you could see the beauty. It was just up in that little side street where the hotel was located.
Yeah.
That looked a little funny.
It's an adventure. I like that.
It was an adventure. And you know what else happened on that little street? They partied on that street all night. They had live music. I kid you not. It was some kind of international music festival.
Boreal type.
And they had, all you had to do is just go out there and get in the party. They had drinks and food and live music.
Oh, wow.
And it was playing up until like 2 in the morning.
Did you all go out?
We weren't there 2 in the morning, but
they know how to party.
But we had to get in a little bit on that.
Oh, that was nice.
Definitely. Definitely. So, and then of course in Paris, we went to the Eiffel Tower.
Of course.
Awesome. It's really a breathtaking. I think it is. It's you see pictures of it, but to actually see it, they say it's equivalent to about like a 81-story building. But it's not so much of the height of it too, but to me, the intricacies of the design. It's so different and unique. So that was something to see. And of course, you go up, the views are just breathtaking. I mean, there's no words that can describe it. You can also eat. They have restaurants in there if you want to eat on the first, second floor, first and second levels. You can set up reservations and eat in there. They say about 7 million people a year
7 million
visit the Eiffel Tower.
Is there any history on the Eiffel Tower as to how it was built or when it was built or why?
I actually had a little bit of that. It was built for the World Fair.
Oh,
I didn't know that, like in 1889 or something.
Yeah.
But it took them like over 2 years. It took a long time for them to build it. It took a long time. But it was originally set up just to be the entryway to the World Fair in Paris.
Wow.
Yep. And they were talking about just even the symbol of the Eiffel Tower is the most recognized symbol in the world. You can show it to anybody and everybody knows it's the Eiffel Tower. So it has a lot of history and it was very crowded that day. I mean, there's lines almost like at Disney World, where you have to line up for the rides and stuff. So it was a line to get in and then they lift you up and you can stay as long as you want.
The sky deck on the top of the Eiffel Tower, how many people does it hold? Can you get a group in there?
It holds a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
And you can have the option of going all the way up to the top if you want. You don't have to, because the elevator stops on so many levels, So you go up, it'll let you off. And then if you want to go all the way up.
Because some people got a problem with height. It's
Exactly.
Well, if I went through Avatar, I want to go all the way to the top.
We
Oh,
know you
yeah.
it is.
Absolutely.
Yes, I want to see.
Absolutely.
I want to see what the view is like.
We're going to take a short pause. You're here at Intellectual Radio. We're here with Wilder Belt with Fun Travel. We'll be right back. It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh, no, no, no. It's just the nearness of you. You. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings to me the sensation. Oh, no, 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 no. It's just the nearness of you. Now when I'm in your arms and I feel you so close to me, all my wildest dreams come true. Come true. Okay, you're back. We're back here at IntellectualRadio.com with Miss Wilder Belt, sharing with us her Europe and Paris and London trip, and talking about the value of travel. So I don't want to, really break your stride. So what continue on with what you're, and then we have a couple of questions that we're going to ask you. But you can continue with what you were talking about, the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, yeah. Just kind of trying to give people a general sense of some of the attractions that we saw.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's taste is different when you travel. So you may not want to necessarily see the things that is so much to see, like I said, in 2 days. But that was one of the ones I was really determined to see.
I don't think the average person, don't you think we want to
see the Eiffel Tower?
That's got to be
a part of it.
That's got to be something big when you go.
7 million people a year.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot.
The other thing that's really popular there is the Cathedral of Notre Dame of Paris, which is a historic church. It's got a lot of history, and it gets a lot of visitors, and it has this sacred space about itself. So we had the opportunity to go in and tour that and just look at some of the like the stained glass windows. Again, it's the history and how old some of these are, how old some of the paintings were, and a lot of the statues. They have a lot of the candles lit, and you can say a prayer, and it's just amazing. And they have this this organ that's very old, like from the 14th century. I mean, just
historic,
historic things.
Yeah.
And even though it's been restored over the centuries, it's still in play to this day.
Absolutely. That
very,
is
very fascinating. Yeah.
So that's kind of something we don't have in this country, that have things that are older than this country.
Yes.
The centuries before this country is even invented.
Exactly.
And that's amazing too.
Yeah.
To see something that old.
Yes.
Would be kind of it's inspiring to see something that's been around that long, which is good.
One of the, I just want to talk about this for a second, because everything to me, dealing with numbers, I always like to just comment on them and think about them. One of the areas in the cathedral is called the North Rose window, and it has these stained glass windows, and it's got these medallions. But the significance is that at the top, the 12 virtues of man are represented, and then at the bottom, the 12 months of the year are represented with the signs of the zodiac. And in the first circle, they got the 12 minor prophets of the Bible.
Wow.
So the things there, even though they're beautiful, they still have significance.
Yes.
They have some meaning. We all know like 12 is the number for, if you're into numerology at all, 12 is the number for completion, right?
Right.
Yep. Yep.
No,
Isn't it?
I thought it's 7.
12, well, I don't know about 7, but 12 is definitely a number in numerology.
Oh, okay.
The 12 months of the year, the 12 disciples.
Yeah.
Yes, 12 is.
For
I don't think it's
completion.
completion. It signifies something else, but it is very significant.
No, I looked that up.
The numbers.
Oh, we know you did.
Yeah, I looked that up for numerology. Now, it may mean more than just that, because remember, there's only like the 9. I don't want to get into the numerology thing, but there's only the 9 numbers, 1 through 9. 12 is actually a 1 and a 2.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. So, but anyway, the whole reason I brought that up is to just say how a lot of times we look at things we don't really see beyond what we're looking at, not really understanding the significance of it.
And that's what vacations will do for you. That's what travel will do.
Yeah. Right. So it can be about leisure, but it can also be about education.
Right.
Yeah, we always say on
Absolutely.
this show, like we say on this show, travel is about the best education you can have.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Less expensive than a college education, but it doesn't take the place. But it's really good substitute that you can learn more about other people, which will teach you more about yourself.
Yes.
The world is a book, and those who do not read. Those who do not travel read only one page.
No,
am I right?
That's right.
The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page.
I like that. Well,
St. Augustine. I can't take credit for that. I love it because it sums it up for me.
Yeah.
The world is a book.
And that is true.
Yes. So, and then we went over to Barcelona. Barcelona was fabulous. Just fabulous. I mean,
you all were there how long?
We were there for 2 days too.
Okay.
We stayed in a very, very nice spot. I probably had some of the best Italian food that I've ever had. Very good.
Italian food.
Yeah, we did. There was there's an architect, historical Spanish architect, that we visited some of his work in Barcelona, and he's known for his kind of outlandish style, very individualized, and so he has done several structures. But we went to one of the parks that he designed, and it's very interesting. So it's not just a park with grass and trees and things. It's like it originally was supposed to be a community. They were like building like a complex area, like a gated canal. So the artist turned it into a park, and it's got all kinds of art throughout. It's just amazing.
So it's like an outdoor gallery.
Yeah. Exactly. It's got the hill. You got to go. It's a lot of walking now, but you do go up and down the hills and in and out of these little spaces, and it's just different, very different.
So you got to have some sure enough walking shoes.
Yes. We tried to get in the church, and they were sold out because it was the 2 structures.
The church was sold out.
Yeah, because you have to pay to get in.
Oh man!
You got to pay to get in the church.
You got to pay to get into his church for the tour. And they were sold out that day. The other thing I want to comment on while we were there, we had excellent weather. I mean, you can't predict the weather, and it's not anything that you can control, but we were lucked out that we had good walking weather, good hanging out weather, no rain.
Yeah, because a lot of times
sunshine.
Paris gets
Especially London is known
London.
for
That's
rain.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it didn't rain all while we were there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I thought it might be a little gloomy, a little wet,
No,
but it was kind of
we
nice.
had great
So
weather
some places
all
climate,
14
yeah,
days.
some places climate change is good.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was very good. So those were some of the things we did, and probably that one of the highlights for me was the city of Rome. So that was one of the stops on the cruise ship, and I think I've shared this with Zemrah. Um, I guess because of the history and all the readings and things I've seen on TV about Rome and the Romans and the Roman
Yeah.
Empire and the Virgin Mary. I mean, the whole everything. So we got to go to the Vatican, and we were able to get tons of people. Again, tons of people. You got to line up to get in. And one of the things that I have been wanting to do forever was to visit the Sistine Chapel, which was the art of Michelangelo. So when we got there, it was so many people, even our tour guide was surprised by how many people. She said, we normally have a lot of people, but apparently it was some special religious holiday. So she was saying that, well, we're going to try to get into the church and we're going to also try to get into the Sistine Chapel, but I can't guarantee it because there's so many people. And it's so funny. I remember thinking, oh, we're going to get in the Sistine Chapel. I've come too far.
I'm going
And
in.
I have been wanting to get in the Sistine
to
Chapel.
butt
Like,
somebody.
right, we're going to get in
We
the
doing that
Sistine
today.
Chapel.
We're doing
Yeah,
that
we doing
today.
that,
right. So
Yeah.
everybody just lift their consciousness.
That's
So we
right.
can get in the
Stay
Sistine.
positive.
Right. Stay
Right.
We going
positive.
in.
Right. And we got in. So we weren't able to view the church, but it's so much to see. It's overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. I mean, it's everything from the art. They have the statue. There was Michelangelo did a statue of Moses.
You saw that?
Oh my
Did you
God.
touch it? Did you get a chance to touch it?
I touched it. I took pictures. The pictures don't do it justice though.
No.
I'm telling you, it's hard to even describe. And the way Moses is sitting like in a chair, but you can see that he's life size. So it's huge. And he's got him sitting in this chair with his arms on the arm, and it's he did these optical illusion for his eyes. So when you walk past, it looks like his eyes are following you.
Michelangelo said, I did not carve Moses. He says, I got a piece of granite and I let him out.
Mm-hmm.
I just carved around him because he was already sitting there. And you can see the veins in his hand that he carved.
Yeah, and when he finished, this is what the tour guide told us. When he finished the statue, when he finished the piece, he said, "Why can't you speak?"
He tapped him on the knee and said,
"Because that's how real it looks." Yeah, that's how real.
Right.
So that was one of the highlights for me. And then the other one was when we got into the Sistine Chapel, I was actually able to see the workings of Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel.
That was a trip.
Just breathtaking.
No wonder you said
He was
lifetime.
inspired.
Yes.
Michelangelo was inspired.
Definitely.
Some ancient
Definitely.
wisdom
Yes.
that came to him. That's how he knew all of this stuff.
So I have all kinds of pictures, but to me, like I say, it just doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it justice. Now, outside of that, they have the big square, and in the square, people are just hanging out, and that's the real side. I mean, there's some very poor people that are begging and asking for help. You've got people selling, paraphernalia and things of that nature. but it was just overwhelming for me. I just thought it was just really amazing to be in this space that I have read and seen and heard so much about.
Wow.
And it was more spiritual
Yeah,
than just
that's what I'm
physical.
hearing. Very, very
Yeah,
spiritual.
spiritual experience
Yes.
for me.
And so, so
Hmm.
the things that you saw had more the vibrations from that
And
give
just
you
It
right,
fed your
give you
soul.
absolutely,
It fed your soul
yeah.
because you're very
And you can
spiritually in
kind of,
tune.
you kind of know when you're in a sacred space. To
Yes,
me,
you
you
do.
just
If you
kind of
have some
know
type
it
of
if you
spiritual
connected,
being, if you
right?
connect,
Yeah, if you're connected,
yeah,
you just kind of know. But that's how I felt walking, even in spite of all these people around me. Because you got people pushing, everybody wants to get in the door, and they're kind of you're kind of lined up, but you're kind of not lined up. You know what I mean? But with all these people around you and all the talking going on, you can still feel at least I could. I could still feel
the
the connection.
connection.
It was
Wow,
powerful.
that's awesome.
mm,
Gives me
I
goosebumps.
want to
Yeah,
go.
I'm
I'm
getting
ready to
Yes.
go.
goosebumps
I
just
want to
talking
book
about
my
it.
Yes.
Well,
ticket.
let
I'm on
me ask you
Carl
this because our
Wilder.
time is,
Running out. I
time is
know, and
always
I'm.
running out,
Oh
always
yes,
goes fast.
it
But
does.
I want you to make sure out there that you go to my Facebook, like me on Facebook. Make sure that you check us out every Tuesday. We're here 6 to 7 p.m. and we always hope that we're bringing something that brings you a lot of interest. And again, something that you can always share with someone else. And please share my shows with people because I think we have some pretty, when we have guests, we have some pretty great guests. We
Mm-hmm.
really,
We
really
do.
do.
Really do.
Now, one of the things that our producer wanted us to ask you, Wilda, what do you think briefly about vacation clubs?
I think that
And what
vacation.
are they?
Well, a vacation club typically is something that you join by paying a fee, and in return, you get trips at a discount. Pretty much, that kind of sums it up. Now, there's variations of them, of course. So, I think they can be great. If you're looking to join one, I just say do your research and make sure that they offer the kinds of trips that you're looking for at the rates that you want,
And that they say that you're going to get.
that they say you're going to get.
Yeah, but I think the
Absolutely.
value of dealing personally with a travel agent is much more efficient, and you know that you're going to probably get a better. You still get a good deal because your trips are great.
Right. But I think and you're absolutely right. The travel club, their niche is that it's really about the discount. It's not so much about the service. That's how I look
Exactly.
at it.
Right.
So what they're offering you is an opportunity to take a trip, I don't know, maybe 25% less or 30% less or whatever it might be. So those are the questions you have to ask yourself. What comes with that discount? In terms of the amenities of the trip, do I get all the bells and whistles or do I not get all the bells and whistles? And if I add the bells and whistles in, will I lose then am I back up to the original price? You know what I mean? You
Exactly.
have to look at it. You really have to do your research. So if is it offer me just the bare minimum and I need to add on to that at a cost, or is it am I getting everything I want for that one
Yes.
fee?
Yeah. And I
Well,
think that's very important.
when you're talking about taking vacation, it's a once in a lifetime thing or something you saved up for all year. You want to make sure you get exactly what you're paying for. And when you have someone like Wilder who's in charge of the travel to make sure that you get what you
Look
need,
in there.
they keep to make sure that your vacation goes as planned and that you get to see all of the things that you paid for and that there's somebody who's going along with you all the way to make sure that your services are guaranteed. That's the difference between I think some vacations might be a cost, but some places you go are priceless and you don't want to trade that just because you want to save a few dollars.
And it depends too on what you're bringing to the table. Some people are pretty savvy at travel.
Right.
You know, and actually when the internet came, had the internet boom, they predicted that travel agents wouldn't be needed anymore because people could go online and book their trips. But as we've seen that's not true, because you're always going to have a market or a group of people who want that service, like Ed was saying.
Now, can you can now? What is the value or not? I shouldn't say value, but do you have to always have a passport when you travel? I think that's a little different now. What type of travel can you take if you don't own a passport, or do you advise people to really get one?
Well, I advise all my clients to get a passport.
And what is the process?
Even if you don't need it, because I think you should have one. The passport actually does is get you back into the country. It gets you home. A lot of people think it gets you into another country. It actually gets you home. So if you are flying into another country, you have to have a passport. Okay. If you cruise to another country and the cruise port is in the United States, a passport is not required. So if you want to take a cruise out of Florida and you are going to the Caribbean, Bahamas, you do not need a passport because you are cruising and you left from an American port. Understand? But if I fly into Nassau, when I get to the other end, I have to have a passport. Okay. Now, if you cruise into a country and you don't have a passport and something were to occur where you had to fly home, that's when you would need a passport.
Really?
Because the passport gets you home. That's why I always advise my clients to get a passport. So when long as you're cruising back and forth, you don't need one. Because you leave Florida, you come back to Florida, right? So you're okay. But if I leave Florida and then I got to fly back
somewhere else,
right, then you need a passport.
So, are there any conditions that would preclude you from getting a passport?
Yes, my understanding there is.
Are there many?
I believe ex-felons. I'm not sure about if you have a criminal record. I'm not sure about, but I understand also back child support.
Really?
Yeah, can prevent you from getting a passport. Yeah.
Now that's really interesting.
So you have to go through a process to get it, and you can be denied.
But the majority of Americans can get a passport.
Oh yeah,
you can even go online really and apply for a passport, and then you can go to your local post office as well.
And they have all,
and it can get a little costly, but it is something that if you really and truly value and you really want to travel, especially abroad, it does make sense to have a passport.
Well, I'm going to say to all the people out there in radio land, even if you don't travel, it's good to have a passport just in case. It'll keep you some options that you can get away if you feel like it.
And they're good for 10 years.
And they're good for 10 years.
That's exactly. Key, yeah.
So if you qualify for one now, go and get it because you might not qualify later on. So go and get one today if you can, because it might be time in your life when we need to, like they say, what the movie say?
Best.
Get out.
Yeah. Well, we want you to always tune in at 5 to 6 with Miss Katie Lowe. And then coming up next behind Here's the Life with Zemrah is Pit Life. A great new host for you. So make sure that you tune in and see what they're up about today. We thank you so much, Wilda, for joining us.
My pleasure.
That was so informative, and to let you know again the value of travel, and like we sacrifice, and Ed and I talk about that all the time too, because you're gonna always have things going on. I just happen to be somebody who don't like a lot of stuff hanging over my head, but you just have to try and make that a priority. Like a lot of times we make other things a priority. It is important because just like all the descriptions that Wilda gave us about this trip, that was, just a dream trip.
Mhm.
I mean, absolutely. And then we didn't even really get a chance to really touch on the beauty of the
No,
cruise.
not at all.
So you're gonna have to come back, Wilt, and
Yeah,
share
that
with us
cruise
about
was
the cruise
amazing.
and the boat. What was the
Oh,
name of the ship?
Symphony of the Seas, Royal Caribbean.
And she
It's
said it was
amazing.
like
Mm.
it was like you
Yeah,
was
we
in
didn't
a
even get
different
to talk
city.
about the cruise. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
So that just goes to show you about how phenomenal
Yeah.
and extensive this trip was,
Right.
because we didn't even get to the
Right. The
cruise.
time went by so fast.
Yeah. And so you're going to have to come back and
Yes.
share with
Tune
us
in for
about,
more.
yeah, tune in for more so we can get an opportunity to really talk about that ship. And you said that was like you was in another
Oh,
city.
it was so amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a floating.
Floating
Yeah.
resort. That's what they call it.
Oh
Like
my
a floating
God.
resort. Yeah.
Wow.
And then we're going to do Africa in 2019.
Ooh, I
Really?
got to go there.
And then
Ghana.
you got to tell us right quick before we go, you got to tell us what you're working on now and the spots that are still open. I mentioned it last week.
Oh, right. We have an Aruba trip. We're going to Aruba in November. It's from
November what?
November 7th through the 11th.
Ooh.
And I still have a few spots available. If you're interested, please give me a call, 312-399-6256.
And that's a
One more
trip, like I
time. One
said,
more
that you
time.
don't want to miss, because that would be, like I said, that'd be a nice gift. It'd be an early holiday gift, but it would be a
Yes.
nice gift.
It's beautiful.
Tell them again, baby. Tell them again.
312-399-6256.
And
You
Aruba's
got to
what?
go.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
You
it
have
is.
to
It's
go with
beautiful.
Wilder. Take
Ah,
a trip
Yeah.
with Wilder. You'll love it.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thanks for
It's
having
always
me, Zemrah.
oh, we
It's always
always,
a
and you
pleasure.
got to put on your calendar, because I know you're busy, but put on your calendar so we can have you back within the next couple of weeks to
Okay.
talk about the trip,
The
so it doesn't get
cruise. My
away the trip.
apologies. I didn't get to
Yeah,
that.
I really
Right.
want you to talk about that cruise and the ship,
Okay.
and that really gives people an idea about cruising
Because
too.
cruising is a big business.
Yeah.
Big
Mm.
business.
And it's
It's an
awesome because it's
awesome way to
inclusive.
travel.
It's
Yes.
inclusive, and that's what's
Yes.
good. So check us out. Share this our evening on Facebook with others, and we hope you have a good rest of your evening. Thanks to Earl for providing always.
And as always, I'd like to thank Earl for letting me be myself again.
Have a good night. Good evening. This time there are no illusions, no place and no space for confusion. We're just riding the flush's way. I thank the universe I give it right, that I got it right this time. Woo, that I got it right this time. I got it right. I got it right this time.